Ivan Starodubtsev is the president of the Turkey-Russia Project Development Association. He joins me now live from Ankara. Thanks so much for speaking to us. It's obvious Turkish-Russian cooperation has grown over the past 4 years, especially in the defense sector. But how precarious a relationship is this, given it was just a few years ago when Turkish-Russian relations hit an all-time low?
Actually, let me remember you that 10 years ago nobody was even speaking about possible cooperation between Russia and Turkey in energy sector. But now what do we have in our hands? It is a Turkish stream and also Akkuyu power plant. So what we see now in the military sectors reminds me somehow what we saw in energy sector a few years ago. So although the nature of this agreement for S-400 is not so much known to the public, but what we clearly see that there are few important topics in this agreement between Russia and Turkey, which were signed in the year 2017. First of all, it is supply of 4 complex S-400. Second of all, it is a training of Turkish military personnel how to operate it. Okay. Third of all, it is a transfer of kind of sensitive technologies to Turkey and even to make a joint manufacture of that. So we see already these changes, and we saw that few days ago when President Erdogan visited MAX exhibition in Russia and even demonstrated to the Turkish public first time maybe Su-57, which is a 5th generation flight jet of Russia.
Right.
So we see that this cooperation might go longer in terms of a joint manufacture.
Right, but I'm just addressing the critics who question how solid this relationship actually is, because aside from the miserable relationship Turkey and Russia had just 2 years ago, really, because of the Russian fighter jet that was shot down over Turkish territory near the Syrian border and a Russian diplomat being assassinated. People are also arguing that this is actually a cynical attempt by Russia to just pull Turkey away from NATO and from its efforts to join the European Union.
Look, first of all, let me say that whatever we have now between Russia and Turkey, those are long-term cooperation and long-term agreements. We see it in a Turkish stream, we see it in Akkuyu power plant, and also we see in S-400. It is something which will bind to each other for many years. So I think that our relationships are fundamented by these agreements, first of all. Second of all, let me say that Russia is quite realistic about possibility of Turkey to leave NATO. Nobody seriously believes in Russia that Turkey may leave NATO. But the major question is what Turkey exactly gain from NATO. And the second question I would address to Russia: how do we think? Do we need Turkey inside of Turkey or inside of NATO or outside of NATO? I believe that might be we will need a friend inside of NATO. It might be quite more productive, I think.
Okay. Ivan Starodubtsev, thanks so much for joining us there from Ankara. We greatly appreciate it.